My bad. I hit the wrong button there. John's happy about that. I am Michael Carritenuto. We're holding it down for Eric Wilson as he's biting his nails for this Eagles Bucks game that is now 25-11 with 3:39 left to go, and the Eagles have the ball. That's a little quick update there. But I am Michael Carritenuto. We are here on the Sports Arena every Monday night, 10 o'clock Eastern and 7 p.m. on the left coast, as Eric says, as I like to say. But without further ado, let's get the other person here whose team played yesterday as well, too. And, actually got everybody to bed. Look at this, man. That's a challenge for this man because once you have more than one kid, they're never going to bed at the same time. Right, John?
Yeah, they always keep each other up. They feed off each other.
Don't make me come down the hall. Famous last words. Or come.
I've said that so many times.
Oh, man. No, absolutely. But it's good to see you. We'll rip on your team for a second. But, yeah, I hit the wrong button. So this is what we have coming up here on the Sports Arena. Yes, my Cowboys came here to the desert. And Dak, of course, Eric puts a picture of Dak sitting down. He should have put a picture of 3/5 of the offensive lineup. But, of course, Eric, in picking the Cardinals, the only one to do that, of course, John, would not do that. We will also get to John's Miami Dolphins. Dude, I got a really crazy stat fact, which you may have seen, and one of my good friends that I've known since, Johnson's middle school sent me this stat fact about the what's going on with the Dolphins. You may have seen it. I'm not going to spoil it yet. And yes, everybody wants to hate on Coach Prime. They went to Oregon, who is I know. Hold on. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying a lot of people, everybody loves the story. It's a great story in college football for a team that, only won one game last year, already has 3 victories this year, went up to Austin Stadium, which if a lot of people have never been to, a lot of people have, visiting teams, not a fun place to play. It is a fun place to play, John, of course, unless you are a visiting team. You can ask Oklahoma about that because they never want to go back to Austin Stadium. But that's a story for another day that I can share. But yeah, John, we're going to start right here and show it again. Cowboys, Cardinals. Eric left that up. And yeah, we want to start because Eric's not here. I don't need to see his gloating. We don't need to see his gloating about getting the pick right because it's not a surprise. He's going to pick against them every week. But, okay, I'll ask you this because you've obviously, and I have too, been a big fan of Tony Pollard, and it just didn't seem enough Tony Pollard. And I've said throughout the years, a lot of people have said, especially, me, I like to listen to analysts when they actually, guys like Jonathan Vilma or even a Marcus Spears when he's talking about run the ball. When your offensive line is down, John, we know we've been even playing the game at the lowest levels. If you're banged up, run the ball. Don't put an offensive line on skates that's 3/5 down. Yesterday, did you see enough Tony Pollard from the Cowboys or just a running game in general?
I mean, Dallas did have 416 total yards of offense, and they ran for 185 yards on the ground. So, whatever you're trying to get at with their rushing game, they ran for almost 200 yards on the road. Doesn't matter if it's the Cardinals or whoever. Doesn't matter if it's the Broncos. These are NFL teams. If you're running for almost 200 yards against an NFL team, that's a pretty good day. So I can't really knock the offense too much. They only put up 16. But they did have more first downs. They had more total yards, more passing yards, more rushing yards. They beat them statistically in offense. They just couldn't convert in the red zone. Just some boneheaded plays. I think they overlooked them a little bit.
John, let me ask you this, okay, because you just brought up the perfect point. That's what I want to get to next. You've always heard, Belichick was famous for this. And obviously Nick Saban, even, being at Alabama, but these coaches that say, hey, move the ball between the 20, let them move the ball between the 20s. Great. And you just pointed out right there, everybody's talking about that. 1 for 5 in the red zone. Yep. I think a lot of those rushing yards, though, to me, I guess I should have phrased it differently to you, because even being a Cowboys fan, but even tonight with Tampa, at least they're trying to work Rashard White into the
Eagles defensive line is running good. Yeah.
So, but early on, that's my point. You started to get rushing yards when they're like, all right, we just need to back up and protect the back end, because CeeDee Lamb did get open a few times. Dak missed him once or twice, but CeeDee Lamb to that point was open. But I just think early on, that's when they gave the Cardinals a ton of confidence, because, and again, I know you obviously, you saw your game in the morning, but I'm just saying, early on, to me, when Eric sent this out, that's the first thing I thought of. Because, yeah, I looked at the numbers and I was like, okay, it's not bad. But early on, when you're trying to set
the tone,
set the tempo, set the tone, I just don't think there was enough. And I think that offensive line, I mean, you're out your center, you're out your all-pro right guard. Tyron Smith was suited up, but like came out after the first series. So like there's 3/5 of your offensive line gone. And to me early on, it seemed like the whole team was flat. And I'm not going to make an excuse because I talked to Eric yesterday and I like the Trayvon Diggs thing. I mean, that is depressing. Like you see a guy, your teammate in practice, not even a game, tear his ACL, but you still got to.
Awful.
But to me, anyway, I get off tangent there because it's the Cowboys, but you're going to keep me focused. But
the reason
early on, there wasn't enough running. I mean, I think they put the offensive line on skates early in the game. And then, yeah, they got those rushing yards later, but they were ineffective in the red zone.
You've talked for this entire time about the offense. What about the defense? This is supposed to be the thing that carries them to where they want to go, not the offense. If anybody watches the Cowboys or knows the Cowboys, the defense is a straw that stirs the drink. So the defense gave up over 200 yards on the ground, and it's evident that the interior defensive line of the Dallas Cowboys is not very good at stopping the run. It's not Parsons. He's great on the outside, but when it comes to stopping the run, Dallas struggles.
I mean, the thing with Fowler, you're 100% correct.
That's a big problem.
The thing with Dexter Fowler Jr. and Odighizuwa, I love both of them, but those are they're again, it's tough to call like somebody, John, and I've always said this, even if I was, 6'5" and 250, it's tough to call somebody that's like 285 pounds undersized. It's crazy, of course, but when we're talking about football, I mean, you get it. But Odighizuwa and Fowler, I mean, it's speed. They beat their guys. And to your right, I mean, to your point, you're right. I mean, that's the recipe. Those guys like Lawrence and, I mean, Parsons, if you're stunting them, whoever else is lining up outside, you're having success because they're beating them inside. So then you're like, okay, what do we do? Like, we gotta push somebody out of the way. But, yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I think they play flat. And to me, I heard somebody today saying, I mean, everybody and even some Cardinals fans, and don't fall out of your chair because I heard people look at this. We've been in 3 games, and they have. I'll tip my hat to the Cardinals. We talked about it. They could have won in Washington. They had the huge lead on the Giants, which of course we saw that Saquon Barkley said, you know what? Saquon Barkley said, I'm just going to take over the game. Give me the damn ball. I'm going to take over the game. But they didn't do that. Dallas didn't, like in the defense just, I mean, look, yes, you're deflated about Trayvon Diggs, like I said in practice, but you still got to line up and play. And I heard somebody say everybody's got the clunker game. And this was Dallas's. Did anybody jump off? I mean, granted, it was week 1, but did anybody jump off of Buffalo's, ship if they're on it after, week 1 loss to the Jets? No. Now,
there's a big difference.
Right, but I'm saying the Jets were playing with emotion from,
and the Jets have a great defense compared to the Cardinals, who are literally tanking.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, look how they've played. I just said, like, they're not world beaters, and yeah, I did hear a few people say this is what I want to say to you. There was a few comments around me, and again, I unfortunately wasn't at the game I recorded, but I was out and about with people. And I heard people that, I don't know if they had too many sodas, John, but they started saying, we've been in 3 games. We're 1-2. They can beat the Niners. They can win the West. This team can go to the playoffs in the Super Bowl. No, I mean, look, hey, if you want to be happy for a win, great. But I look at this for Dallas. You're right. The defense, I will say this to you, it sputtered. I mean, they gave up. Look, and Rondale Moore's is fast. And once he gets into the open field, there's not many people that are going to catch him. There will be a few that can run him down. But look, it was a bad play. But what did you think of the 4th down calls going for it with now, to your point, I'm asking you this because you said, and it was apparent to a lot of people how the defense was playing. The 4th down there, 4th and goal on the 6-yard line, they don't get it. In your mind, wouldn't points at least? It's a field goal.
I'm always a proponent of taking the points.
Right.
I'm always a proponent of that. If it's 4th and goal in the 1, that's different. But if it's 4th and goal in the 6, I don't like that. But I mean, you can't overlook what Arizona's done. Right. Again, like you said, the first 3 games, Arizona's been pretty solid. It's just, if you're Dallas, the reason that you can't lose this game is because Philly and San Francisco are so good. You have to get home field advantage if you're Dallas. If you're going to get to the Super Bowl, it has to go through Dallas. It has to go through Cowboys Stadium. It cannot go through Philly or San Fran, because if you're Dallas and you're going on the road to those places, it's over. Like, you're not winning as a wild card team and having to go on the road the whole way through the playoffs.
Well,
Dallas is not doing that, and throwing away a game. Now you're a game behind Philly because you lost to a team that's tanking. It's an absolute gut wrenching loss. Plus, you already lost.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
No one said that Arizona.
I want to bring you in. Okay, so hold on. We're gonna bring Eric in. Speaking of not tanking and excited tonight, here is our awesome, phenomenal host, Eric Wilson. His Eagles get the victory. See, John said he didn't even know he was doing it. He segued perfectly to you, Eric. But yeah, I know you're happy about the Cowboys. The Cowboys lost there, and your Eagles, congratulations tonight. They look good. They look good.
Listen, first off, Arizona's not tanking for Caleb Williams. Let's get that out the way, John Shear. Secondly, good evening, gentlemen. Appreciate y'all holding it down. I had to finish watching my game, even though the game was over towards the second half of the fourth quarter. I just wanted to be sure, because as we know, things can happen at a moment's notice. Listen, when it comes to Dallas, I'm not going to sit here and say, y'all know, as I publicly put out on social media, it seems like every single year I've got to remind people, two teams I cheer for every Sunday: the Philadelphia Eagles and whoever's playing Dallas. Was I right this time? Yes. But not because of my hatred for Dallas. It's simply because Josh Dobbs, a journeyman in the NFL, he took whatever the media was saying about Arizona personally and said, you know what, I'm going to shut these critics up, whether it be for a week or whether it be moving forward. So congratulations to them. Dallas lost. This has ignited a fire in Micah Parsons, in DeMarcus Lawrence, in Stephon Gilmore, in Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, and the rest of them. I just look at this game and I say to myself, thank you for giving us or reminding us on how to stop who a lot of people are calling the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. If you run at Micah Parsons, he just somehow falls flat. I don't understand it. Because
not all. It depends where it is, but yes, he
has
struggled.
I mean, but Mike, look at the tape. Go from last year to this year. Look at the tape. When you run the ball at Micah Parsons, he is not as dominant as when he is a pass rusher or an edge rusher or a linebacker, or you can Swiss Army knife him in any position on the defensive side. So that's why I'm saying to you,
Lawrence Taylor had to grow into it too. And you know me, I talked to you yesterday. I'm not going that far because LT was the greatest player.
Listen, you and I will always agree. LT was that dude.
But let me ask you this, Eric, too, because I said to you yesterday with Josh Dobbs, and that was I told you it was going to be my joke tonight, Sports Arena fans. It took a rocket scientist of a quarterback to beat the Cowboys. So I'm going to say the guy is very bright. He's very bright. No,
did you at least show the picture? I mean,
I did twice. Ask John. I showed it twice.
Okay.
I showed it twice. We entered the show.
John, I got one for you too, which you're really going to appreciate.
I'm enjoying.
You saw this too. I showed them all.
Oh, you did?
I said this is what we're going to talk about, but I said we're going to show them again too. And believe me, I didn't just delete the Cowboys one because I didn't want to see it. But Dak Prescott sitting on his butt. That's so weird. You picked that shot, Eric. So weird.
But what was your question? My bad, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, Cowboys, I mean, like I said, the Cardinals, and I'm with you, aren't they? Because Jonathan Gannon, like I said, you know him, you love him, obviously, what he did defensively. And he's got the Cardinals, and yes, he doesn't have the same personnel he had in Philly, but he's got the Cardinals believing. And to me, like, this is a team that when you're talking about that, like, 7 seed, 1 and 2, because we all know the numbers going to 0 and 3, like we talked about yesterday, are ridiculous. But they go to 1 and 2. Yes, they have a huge division game against the Niners coming up. But, I mean, the Rams offensively, no Cooper Kupp. If you're the Cardinals, you just proved that with a top 5 running back in Saquon Barkley and an offense where you thought CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, to that point, even with the line down, Eric, could do it. But if you're the Cardinals, I mean, look, and people were kidding around about Super Bowl last night. I heard that, and I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. But good for Cardinals fans. Nonetheless, but if you're the Cowboys defense, this is what I was asking, or the offense, they needed to run more in the beginning of the game because John spit out the numbers. Yeah, they ran for a lot between the 20s.
They ran for 185 yards.
Yeah, but it was in the second half. Like Dak was getting rushed. They were throwing him down. Jonathan Gantt, I mean, they drew up the perfect defense with 3/5 line. Why not run the ball more, Eric? That's what I don't get.
Well, because, that's an excellent question. And I wish I could give you an honest answer. What I will simply say is Mike McCarthy thought, let's put the ball in Dak's hands. Let's see what he can do. Everybody that I have talked to, including yourself, Mike, and you, John, and the media outlets are all saying sometimes you have to get back to basic fundamentals.
Yeah.
And I think teams like Dallas, teams like the Jets, teams that at one time were thought to be Super Bowl contenders, who are now being shown you can't keep doing what you think needs to be done. You have got to do what you should be doing. Get back to the ground and pound. Look at Philly. Philly's been doing it the last 2 weeks.
That's
okay.
Something's wrong with Hurts. Does not.
I disagree with that. No, I don't think there's anything wrong
John,
with John.
I just really feel like, well, actually, Joe Buck or Troy Aikman said that tonight he was dealing with some flu-like symptoms. So I don't know if that's the case. I'll have to reach out to my
He
Philly
just doesn't look
people.
comfortable yet in that new system.
Right.
That's what
And
I've
again,
seen so far.
That's
the new
it.
system.
Well,
it's a new system. It's a new offensive coordinator.
It's a new coordinator. It's not a new offensive.
Well, that's
system.
a new scheme. That's a new system
Exactly.
that he's implementing.
Yes. So, therefore, as happy as I am that we are 3-0, I will agree with John and simply say that Jalen has not fully settled in. I am happy that the ball got out to AJ Moore, that Dallas Goedert was AJ Brown, excuse me. I'm happy that Brown and Goddard and even Devontae Smith to some degree. But I'll tell you what, that kid, Zacchaeus, that's my dude, man. I love that guy.
You look good.
And then with Boston Scott being out, we got the punt returner, Covey. Had two great run backs. So, it just shows that we can't put all the emphasis on Jalen, because the rest of the team has definitely stepped up in that moment.
Hey, Eric, hold on. This is the perfect synopsis. We got to give our guy Denzel flowers. It's true. Look, they had their clunker. I was saying,
or they exposed the Cowboys and the blueprints there for how to beat them.
Hold on. And the Eagles are really good. So, Eric, I'm not taking a shot at the Eagles. They said that the first Eagles game last year when Dak didn't play, and Zeke scored, that it was the first half you guys dominated. Second half, the Cowboys settled down. They ran the ball. Our boy Rush was moving the ball, but that's what they did. They said, "Oh, Micah, this and that." The second game in Dallas, that's what I'm saying. A little bit of adjustments. It's not that Dan Quinn hid Micah Parsons, but if they started when they were running at him, the way the defense was shifting, it helped Parsons out a little bit. It helped all the linebackers.
But Jalen did play. The matchup listen to me.
No, they both
November 5th.
But they still have the same run. They still have the same running
year.
concepts. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, Mike. But November 5th of this year, and I want this to happen more so than I want a lot of stuff. November 5th, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
We finally get to see Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. I want both those guys healthy. I want both teams to be at their best, because I think this is what is
coming out to Phoenix for that?
No.
Come on, man.
No, I'm not watching a game with you. You know what? We got to keep moving because I'm tired of talking about.
But I do want to.
John, please.
I had a couple points, and I noticed this tonight, and I don't know if the announcers really noticed it, but so Jalen Hurts had an on that Zacchaeus touchdown.
Yes.
He took 5 seconds to throw that ball. You can't do that. That's way too much time. I understand the offensive line gave you that time, but against good teams, you're going to get killed doing that. And I've noticed the interception he threw down on the goal line, the long pass right through the pick. He took a while to throw that ball, longer than he should have to Smith, because I was watching it. And then the Zacchaeus one, he took a while. And it was a really good throw, but he's taken a while in the pocket to get through his reads. He's eliminating running the football from the pocket. I've noticed that this year. He hasn't been willing to just take off. Aside from the designed runs, he hasn't been willing to ad-lib and run the football. So he's eliminated that so far from his repertoire, and he's taken a while to get through his reads this year. And those are some things. That's why I'm saying he doesn't look comfortable, because last year, Hurts, 2.5 seconds, boom, that ball's out. Or he's taken off. But none of that is happening yet. And that's why I'm concerned is the game seems almost like he's really slow this year. Almost like rookie Jalen Hurts. And that's the thing. As somebody who analyzes the game, that's why I'm saying I'm concerned.
What I'm saying is, if in fact he does have an illness, then we know that it's going to take some time for him to get healthy. But again, it's not just him. Jalen is recognizing that right now he is not where he needs to be. So what is he doing? Unlike most quarterbacks who are the same dominance of Jalen Hurts is relying on the rest of his team to do what they need to do. Jalen he's a game manager these first 3 games. I'm not afraid to say it. I don't give a damn. Okay?
No, it's nothing.
Jalen is not the guy running. He's still doing his 4th and 1, his 3rd and 1, his quarterback sneaks. He's still doing that because he does squat over 600 pounds. But what I'm saying to you is Jalen is realizing, and the rest of the team, more importantly, including the head coach, is realizing our quarterback is not at his best. So it is going to be on the offensive line to protect him. It is on the running back committee of a Gainwell. Rashad Penny never even sniffed the field tonight. And DeAndre Swift. Boston Scott was out to keep the game, move the chains. It's going to be on Goddard and Smith and A.J. Brown and Zacchaeus to be in the right spot. If you notice in the second quarter and third quarter, mostly in the third quarter, what I saw tonight, it was simple, quick 4 or 5 slant routes. That's all it was.
Well, the rain started coming down too. It was torrential.
Yes, the rain did play. Okay, yeah, rain played a factor. But what I'm saying to you is the team recognized everything, every component of the game, from the field to the defense or offense, depending on. Now, I'll just take the defense of the Bucs right now because I'm talking about the offense. And most importantly, they recognize their quarterback. So what do? They basically, no pun intended, huddle up and say, okay, how do we continually move the chains? Jalen, you do this. Offensive line, you do this. Weapons, you do that. And let's go execute.
And what's the old adage?
That is why they're 3-0.
What's the old adage? If it's not broke, don't fix it. In this day and age, I know it's got to be, you got to throw 40, 30, 35 times.
Dude, we put up over 400 yards. We put up almost 500 yards tonight.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Against Minnesota, Minnesota did this.
Minnesota got destroyed because Kirk Cousins can't play past 1 o'clock. And Kirk Cousins can't play, period. Okay, don't even get me started on him.
All right, I'm just saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Run the damn ball. If people can't stop it, everybody's geared up to stop the pass. And, I know, it's funny because I did hear my boy Troy Aikman saying when they were talking about San Francisco at the end of the game, they were talking about the Niners and, he was mad in the NFC. He was talking about Brock Purdy and what he's doing, this and that. And he's like, yeah, Brock Purdy had the same high school coach I did. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, Troy. I'm like, nice shout out there. But no, I'm just saying if it's not broke, don't fix it, Eric. And you know me, and my theory is run the damn ball.
Exactly.
If you can't stop those 3, and again, the fact that Penny hasn't sniffed the field much, that's crazy to me.
Well, his health has always been an issue, but the fact that when he is on the field, trust me, I'm not worried about it. Let's keep moving because I want to give my man John Shear, because listen, it has not happened in 60, almost 50 some years that a team has put up, as Shannon Sharp said, a 50 piece with 20 flats for free. I mean, damn, John. Seriously? This is what happened yesterday? Your Miami Dolphins, John, a team that you have said over and over and over again, if Tua is on the field and he has what he needs, this guy is a top-tier quarterback. He is in that conversation. 70 points. John Shear, I am deferring to you on this, sir, because this is, bruh, the floor is yours.
Well, look, I mean, this team, they're not even fully healthy, by the way. Jalen Waddle didn't even play yesterday. So, let's start there. Your second best weapon didn't even play in the game, and you put up 70 points. They took their foot off the gas. They could have scored a hell of a lot more, but as Coach said, he didn't want bad karma, and he didn't want to chase the record, because that's not the way you break the record. Break it naturally, not end of the game, you're up by 50 and you're kicking a field goal just to hit the record. That's not what he wants to do. That's not what the Dolphins are about. The Dolphins are about winning the Super Bowl, not chasing records. So if that's how the Dolphins feel, then I'm on board with it. I'm not upset by it. Of course, I wanted the record, but it is what it is. You can't complain when your team puts up over 700 yards of offense. And by the way, that was the second most yards in the history of an NFL game, only 9 shy of the Rams back in 1951. And the Dolphins have the most yards and the most points scored in the history of the NFL through the first 3 games, more than any other offense in the history of the game through 3 games. So, this team hasn't even gotten healthy. Jalen Ramsey hasn't played yet. Jalen Waddle's missed a game. Armstead, this was his first game in 3 games. So, you haven't even seen a healthy Dolphins team yet. And I tried telling people about Kane and how fast he is. And this was the first game where he actually got to play. And you saw what he did, over 200 yards and 3 scores. So that's another weapon that we have that's about as fast as Tyreek Hill, as you saw yesterday. So this team is nothing to be messed with. And I don't even know how you stop them, because they're that good. They're running the ball that well. And they didn't really go to, Tyreek Hill was like the 4th option on the team yesterday, because everybody else was just racking up points, racking up yards and touchdowns. So it's gonna be a great game going to Buffalo next week at 1:00. But right now, the way the Dolphins are running the football, you're gonna eventually have to go up in the box. And when you go in the box, guess what happens? That's when you get Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle over the top and the other guys. So, I don't know what you can do against this offense right now, because offensive line is playing really well, and obviously Tua is playing better than any quarterback in football right now. So, they're the best team in football through 3 weeks, and it's not even close.
Okay, let's not overreact.
There's nobody.
Mike, I don't think this is an overreaction, but look at this team the past.
Who has looked this good through 3 weeks this year?
Right.
Is it the Bills? No. Is it the Chiefs? No. Is it the Eagles? No. The Bengals?
They
Hell
look like
no.
a normal team against Belichick's defense.
They
look like
took what
they
the
scored, they won,
Mike,
but it wasn't like they blew them out against the defense that knows how to play.
Look, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. If you watch the game, Belichick is putting 3 safeties out there. So what does that say? You have to run the football, because he's playing 3 safeties. And if you're playing 3 safeties, that means run the football. And Miami did exactly what they were supposed to do.
And the Patriots still had a chance to tie it up and win that game.
That's not an impressive win to you? Primetime going to New England against a really good defense.
Everybody's talking about the 70, this and that. Mike McDaniel can say whatever he's want about the record.
You expect 70 every week?
If you're up by 40, you should not be throwing the damn ball. Now, if nobody wants to tackle the running backs.
Wait, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Are you kidding
me? They took
Tua
out.
I'm being deadly honest with you, Mike. Why are you saying why not? Jerry, one of your former head coaches used to say all the time, we going to run up the scoreboard, find a way to stop us. Denver could not do that yesterday. So if Mike McDaniels, Tua Tagovailoa, and the rest of the Miami Dolphins squad wants to run up the scoreboard because Denver can't stop a nosebleed, come on, man.
You're up 40 and you're chucking the ball. Either way, my theory is run the ball.
You don't like it, stop it.
Okay.
And
you know what? Neither team is my team. I'm just saying there's a way to win. And when you get up big, you're going to sit there and, we're going to keep humiliating you. How many people jump? Okay, you're saying, and now, how many people jumped on the Patriots hate when they did that to quite a few teams, to Buffalo, to Miami. They were up by 35.
I never did that. I was like, you know what, Buffalo? You know what, other teams? Find a way to stop Tom Brady.
Hey, you know what? Because sooner or later, knock on wood, and you know I don't root for it, Eric. Somebody's going to be about 40 of me screwing around. Somebody's going to take a cheap shot on some dude, and they're going to get hurt. And you want to know why? Because there's a way to win. Like coaches have always talked about it. You don't want to be on either side. But to say, I'm not going to kick a field goal to do the record, but I'll throw it. I'll just take a team that you want to say is injured, not the same defense they had last year, and rub it in the dirt. And rub it. Hold on. And rub their face in the dirt with it. Go ahead and do it. I'm just saying.
How are they rubbing their face in the dirt? I mean,
because you're up by 40. You know they ain't coming back
and a
bombing the ball down the field.
Hold on. A backup quarterback threw to a practice squad receiver because Robbie Chosen was on the practice squad. Got called up because Waddle was out, and he threw over an All-Pro corner in Patrick Surtain. All-Pro corner couldn't stop a practice squad wide receiver and a backup quarterback.
Yeah, he was putting a lot of
Miami's
effort
fault.
on that deep ball because Patrick Surtain's like, there's no way they're throwing the ball.
And that's Miami's fault?
They're just running around. You're up by 40 and you're chucking. I'm just saying, I can't wait till it always comes full circle to a team. And when it does, I will be thrilled because all I know is the coaches that I've talked to are like, there's really no need to do it. Now in college, we know they do it, John, because of the ranking system. And it's like, oh, well, they put up 70, so we should bump them up instead of 3 spots, 5 spots. Like that to me is annoying.
Are saying that, but if they're in that position scoring 70, guess what they're going to do? They're going to be.
I'm saying if you want to hand it off to your running back and nobody wants to tackle the running back, great. But to sit there and throw it on the team.
So you know why you go and get those stats? Because guys get paid more money the more stats they put up. So those guys are going to want to put up stats.
No practice squad player that's got bonuses in his contract. Tell you
Mike,
that
let
right
me
now.
ask you a question. Since you're bringing this up, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
And I want you to be honest with me.
Okay.
If the shoe was on the other foot,
I'd still talk.
Denver put up 70 on Miami yesterday and decided not to go for the record. Would you be saying this exact same thing about Sean Payton and Russell Wilson?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I tease John a little bit, but I'd feel the same way because to me, it's Bush League. You're up by 40. You don't need to be rubbing a team in it. I mean, there are a few times when who was it? It was the Packers? Was it Aaron Rodgers? I may have been the Packers. It was a while back. Nonetheless, point is, like, they were trying to get a record, and Aaron Rodgers is chucking the ball, and they're up by 4. They were up by 31, 28, 31, something like that. And I'm just like, dude, get out of the game. Like, you're going to get some player.
Tua did get out the game, though.
What's that?
Yeah.
Tua did get out the game.
Right. They took Tua. I'm just saying, you want to get your backups in. Look, you want to throw a little one pass. Multiple passes, dude's chucking it. Surtain's like, there's no way they're throwing this deep. Then you see him, and he's like, holy shit. He turns around and starts running. So at least on film, it looks like, okay, I'm doing this. Hey, look, if the Cowboys did it, I'd still be talking crap about it. Remember when, and Eric, this is fact. Way back when, it would have been about, a year or two before I met you. Eagles, Cowboys, rivalry, you won't forget this. Lynn Elliott was going to set the record at the time for 7 field goals in a game, and the Cowboys kicked a field goal with like 22 seconds left against the Eagles. And there's a lot of pushing, a little yapping, because I'm like, dude, you won the game, dude. Like, don't kick the 7th field goal. The fact that you got held out of the end zone should be your thing. And they kicked the field goal. So I did say, like, yeah, it happened to the Eagles. I'm not sad. I know that shocks you, Eric. But to me, it's like, you're chucking the ball downfield up 40. Like, I'm sorry. Don't. And I'm glad John brought up the press conference. When I heard that, I was like, yeah, you were chucking it up 40. When it's on the other side, maybe not to the media, John, because you did it. They're going to be behind closed doors, totally MFing the other team and the coach for having, whatever for doing it.
Guess what? We'll do it again next time we play Denver.
Yeah, you ain't gonna do it against New England. I'll tell you that much. Or Buffalo.
My whole thing is this, okay? We all are from the old school football world where it's about putting up points. It doesn't matter if you can't stop me. Oh my God. Why would I? Why? I mean, I get sportsmanship and everything, but if you're gonna, I'm not saying you're gonna let me. But if my offense and defense are clearly the better team, why should I reserve myself to not make you feel like, you know, you can throw the flag all you want. I just don't understand because you know what?
Run the ball.
I've
Coaches always
been
talk
there,
about
Mike. I've been on that side. Eagles have been shut out before, and I've
yeah,
had to
I
sit
have
there and
too.
take
But
that loss.
hey, look, if nobody wants to tackle a running back, John, you could have put that receiver in the backfield and gave him a freaking sweep, and he probably would have run it in.
I had to sit through
you're chucking
62
the
to
ball
7.
with 40 points up. You're
And
chucking
damn
the ball with 40
last
points
game
up.
in a
Hey,
playoff game. Like I had
Like
to
I said to Eric yesterday, that started my disdain and hatred for the Patriots, not because I didn't respect how Belichick coached defense and how they played and how, you know, Tom Brady was, like our boy Rob Parker said, Eric, the luckiest of all time, the LOAT. But look, I'm just saying, when you always hear coaches say, yeah, you're coaching them up, you want to win with, you know, class, you're blowing somebody out. Like, it's pointless. Like, is Denver going to give up 70 again? Probably not. I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody scores that this year. I'm just saying, shucking the ball. God, I've never told a running back to fall down, and I've said this to Eric a million times. Like, I pitch you the ball, and your defensive line doesn't get an effort, nobody gives effort.
I'm curious, Mike.
I'm not going to tell a running back to fall down. Run the ball.
So you've criticized the Dolphins this entire time. You didn't criticize. You haven't been criticizing the Broncos. You haven't criticized the Broncos for giving up. You haven't criticized Sean Payton.
They're obviously better than the Broncos. I mean, that's
obvious. But this team that spent all this to get Sean Payton, spent all this to get Russell Wilson, spent this big contract to get him. This team with expectations, and we're just talking about the Dolphins, you know, scoring too much. Well, why aren't the Broncos getting crushed?
I'm saying chucking the ball.
Performance.
Score 70. Hey, man, there are times the Eagles ran over the Cowboys too and rushed for
this isn't the same.
When you
never seen 70 in our lives,
and you're averaging, I think there was one year Westbrook. There was one game, not 1 year. There was one game Westbrook averaged 9.5 yards a carry. That was in Dallas. You remember that, Eric? That was a game where he slid down on the 3-yard line too. Somehow Dallas was still having a chance to maybe tie up the game. But yet Westbrook averaged 9.8 yards a carry.
So let's flip the script since John brought it up. Let's flip the script. Let's talk about Denver. Because, and I could go back and pull up what we thought was going to happen with the Denver Broncos in our preseason picks. Okay. But I'm not going to do that because I think there's a level of accountability that needs to be given out. And I think it starts with Sean Payton. I think it starts with Russell Wilson. And most importantly, I don't know who the defensive coach, head coach, coordinator, whatever is for.
Former Dolphins head coach.
Who?
Vance Joseph.
It doesn't matter who he is, John. Dolphins put up 70 on him.
That's why the Cardinals got rid of him.
Somebody in that organization needs to have their butt on the hot seat, their head on the chopping block, something. Because to go out and put out a performance like that, when we know that this team is better than the product they put out, I'm going back to my NBA Magic perspective days when I say this. I said this about the Orlando Magic one day, and I'm going to say it about the Denver Broncos. Please get that off the screen because I need everybody to hear me when I say this. What happened yesterday, excuse me, I'm not even going to give you the rant. I'm just going to say welcome to another edition of Eric's Rant. I'm a loudmouth with an opinion, so whether you like it or not, here the hell it goes. The Denver Broncos are a better team than what we saw yesterday against the Miami Dolphins. And for them to put that product out there is not indicative of who they are. I don't know who in that locker room, who in that front office, which coach or even the owner himself, but something needs to change in order for this team to figure it out. You have a job to do. You know what you need to do. So do us all a favor. Fix it.
I will say it wouldn't have taken much. I agree with that, but Russell Wilson looks better than he did last year. I mean, from the beginning of the season.
So. I'm not impressed by him.
The numbers are better. I'm not saying he's,
The numbers can be
Moonball
what they are,
6.
John. I mean, Mike, but it's not translating. Everybody gets on me because Kirk Cousins puts up 4 and 5,000 yard seasons, but Kirk Cousins doesn't win. Y'all want to know why I have such a disdain
Well,
for
in the
him?
playoffs.
Mike, in general, what is the Vikings record right now?
0-3.
Okay, who they lose to? They lost to the Bucks, who they shouldn't have lost to. You lost to Philly on a Thursday night short week, and the Chargers with Brandon Staley as the head coach. Right now, Minnesota should be 2-1, and I'm saying that as a guy who does not like Kirk Cousins.
I'd have fired Brandon
That's
Staley.
my
I want to
point.
let Brandon Staley on the plane real quick. Like,
Troy, you can sit there and say it's not Cousins' fault. And I have always given you the invitation, sir, to jump on this show because I know you are a Minnesota fan. But I'll be damned if I'm not going to sit here and tell you straight to your face as you're watching this show tonight. Your quarterback is the reason, one of the reasons that you guys are not a proverbial NFC North Division champion, a playoff contender, an NFC champion possibility, or even back to the Super Bowl. You can say I don't pay attention, but the bottom line is this. You guys are 0-3. So do me a favor. Figure out what's wrong with your team before you sit there and try and tell me I don't know what's going on about your game when I have to spend each and every Sunday watching what Minnesota doesn't get done. The connection between him and Justin Jefferson is off. Alexander Mattison, James Addison, all these guys who are supposed to be these great guys, what have they done in 3 weeks? You've been close in games, but you have not pulled the trigger. You have not been successful. You are 0-3 in a division that is yours to be had, referring to the Minnesota Vikings.
And
I'll add to that real quick, John. Eric, and we had the whole running back debate. That night we had it, I said you pay Dalvin Cook. You work something out, put a lot in bonuses because look, Madison we all talked about it, as a complimentary back. Madison shined last year. I'm not going to take anything away from Madison, and you're right this year, but he hasn't lived up to that Cook role. So, like you get rid of Dalvin Cook, like you and I said, Eric, probably the most violent runner in the league. Yeah. Like, I mean, he gets in the open field. Look, Derrick Henry's a teeny bit bigger, but Derrick Henry doesn't run as violent as
Dalvin Cook.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Dalvin Cook. So, like, you didn't give him the money. And, yeah, I can see what Troy's saying about Cousins because, like, yeah, I mean, quarterbacks are getting inflated.
Well, that's because you got Dak and he's the same guy.
Well, certain John, okay. You go sip with stuff with Tua and don't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll just be 3-0. I don't know what you are, but
we're 2-1.
Have fun playing the Cardinals.
Anyway, but Dalvin Cook isn't there. So Madison doesn't the other role. Now you trade for Cam Akers, who obviously wasn't going to do much yesterday, but you trade for Cam Akers, who wanted the hell out of LA because him and Sean McVay couldn't see eye to eye. Which, I mean, the way Cam Akers runs is like, okay, but you had Dalvin Cook right there, and to your point about it proves my point. This is exactly what I said. I go, it's going to be different for Justin Jefferson now because you and I both know when that safety is kind of peeking up and seeing where Dalvin Cook's at. That's all Justin Jefferson needed. And Justin Jefferson's a badass, except for the fumble out of the end zone, which deserved to be a touchback. Sorry, Troy. Offense gets everything. But I don't think their connection is so much off. But when you lose that angle of your offense, that's what I was saying when we were talking about running backs that night. When
it's
that safety,
threat of it,
when he's a yard or two up, all you need, especially on those shorter slant routes, Eric, all NFL quarterbacks need. You just, hey, Eric, step up 1.5 steps. And you do that when you see Dalvin Cook coming at you. You don't do it when you see Madison. So now
do it when you see Addison.
Yeah, that too. But I'm like I said, you don't, everybody says, oh, running back market, you can just plug whoever in. Here's Exhibit A. And we're going to get all the way to Exhibit Z soon because here's Exhibit A. It's affecting the Vikings. And especially since Staley wants to go for it, he should have been fired in the locker room. Ridiculous. But anyway, like you stop them. If you have Dalvin Cook, okay, maybe I'm not going to say 100%. I'll say 97%, 95% Dalvin Cook. You give him the ball, he blows up somebody and scores.
So something to kind of touch on Eric's point. And Troy, yeah, I mean, of course, Kirk Cousins leads the league in passing. He's thrown more than anybody in the league. Something that isn't on the stat sheet is when you need the game, when you need the smart plays, when you need to make the football plays. Kirk Cousins doesn't make those plays when you need him to. Go back yesterday and look at what Kirk Cousins did. The game ending interception. He threw a good ball. Don't get me wrong, but a smart IQ play. It's first and goal from like what, the 4-yard line,
Right.
and you throw a dart between two defenders,
And those-
bounces off the hands, it ends up getting bopped around an
Chuck
interception.
it out of the end zone, right, John?
On first down, you can't throw that ball into
Right.
that
Chuck it
little
out of the
window.
end zone.
You cannot throw that ball on first down. If that's fourth down, I'm okay with that. But first down, if it's not there, don't force it on first down because you have 3 other downs to work with. But that's what Kirk Cousins does, is he doesn't make those high IQ plays. He tries to fit in that window. Should have known on first down, like, hey, that's too small of a window. Throw it away or throw it to somebody else. Like, don't force a throw on first down. And that's what Kirk Cousins continually does. That's beyond the passing stats that you see that he puts up. He always pads his numbers. They're always in a shootout. I get it. But when they need him most, Kirk Cousins comes up short. And that's the problem I have with him is he's not a winner. He'll put up stats, but he's not a guy that's ever going to win you a Super Bowl. And if you're a Minnesota fan and you're happy with him putting up stats and never winning anything, well, sure.
Well, no, and last year, and Eric, I will say, I'll wrap it up on this. You said last year, and we all talked about the one score, the 7-point or less wins, the one possession games, right. And they won. They were what, 11? They were 11-0. So they went 13-4 last year. The blowout to Dallas and all those one score could have went either way. But Troy, don't say you can't look. And I love you too, Troy, but you can't say Eric doesn't pay attention because Eric, what you described, and you didn't say it exactly, but it's a Giants playoff game last year. Minnesota defensively made a concerted effort. Made a concerted effort to do what? Take Saquon Barkley out of the game and said Daniel Jones beat us. And look, hats off to Daniel Jones. He delivered. He delivered more than Kirk Cousins. That interception that Kirk Cousins threw in that, I get it was fourth down. He was getting pressured. But Troy, come on, we do pay attention. And he's just saying.
No, it's fine. He wasn't speaking to either one of you. He was speaking to me because he feels like I don't know Minnesota.
You were describing the Giants game.
But I know, but I get it. But I just say, again, as I had to remind people last week, I guess I got to remind Troy this week of who I am and what we do. Don't come on this show commenting thinking I don't know what I'm talking about when in regards to one of the 32 teams in the NFL. Yes, I bleed green and I hate the Cowboys, but there are 30 other teams that I damn sure watch and pay attention to. And unfortunately, I have to sit there and watch Kirk Cousins every year, put up these monster numbers, have all the talent in the world, and yet still cannot get the job done. Okay? So therefore, I have reason to say what I say about Kirk Cousins. If y'all want to tack on how you feel about Philly, please feel free. I don't care. Look, what does my shirt say? No one likes us. We don't care. It's just that simple.
I told you how I feel about Philly.
I know. But John, that's what I'm saying to you. You can talk to me about Philly. Mike can talk to me about anybody can talk to me about Philly. But then when I come at your team with knowledge, don't sit up there like I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the last topic because we got about 10 minutes left. And again, thank you both for holding it down tonight here on the Sports Arena. This one right here, Oregon, Colorado, the world of college football. So, John, I'm going to start with you on this one. Give me your thoughts on the fact that the Oregon Ducks gave Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes their loss.
I'm so happy. This is aside from the Dolphins putting up 70 and winning, this was like my favorite moment of the weekend. Finally, hopefully Dion and his son get humbled because you played a real team and you got your ass kicked. Your team went on the field before the game and started stomping out the logo on an opposing team's field. You don't do that. Because what Oregon did to you is what happens. They showed you up in their house. And yeah, they probably were going to do that anyway, but it's stupid to go into a team's house where you're already the underdog and start stomping on their logo. Like your little tactics, your little things that you tried with Colorado State, It doesn't work with the big boys. Like that, when you play the Alabamas, when you play the Oregons, when you play USC's, when you play teams like that, those head games that Deion's trying to play, where he's trying to pit the media against them or whatever, like that stuff doesn't work with those teams. Those teams have been there, done that. They're the big teams for a reason. So hopefully Deion and his team got humbled. I loved it. And man, that defense cannot stop a nosebleed when it comes to run defense, and it's going to be a big issue. And I just hate that. Of course, Deion is like, oh well, now we're not the team that we want to be yet, but give us a couple years. Like, oh wow, way to backpedal when you were talking all this trash a couple weeks ago. But now it's different because, oh, you got stumped, but we're not the team we want to be yet. Give us a couple years. Like, get out of here with that cop out, those excuses. Like, that's why I'm like, he talks out of both sides of his mouth, and I hate that. I don't like people like that. He's a two-bit con man. That's what I see out of him. Everybody else loves his shtick. I think he's a con man.
First of all, it's not shtick. Secondly,
it's a shtick.
John, okay, you want let me go because
I think he's a con
all
man.
Deion has said about is setting it up to believe in his team. Everybody said, oh, they got to open up with, TCU. Granted, it's a different team, but they still were in the title game last year. Went to the college football playoff. I said it from week one. Yeah, their interior line running at them up the middle was a little soft, but they still were able to outscore TCU. Okay. Then you turn around and you renew a rivalry with Nebraska, and Matt Rule ran his mouth. They don't talk about other teams. They responded. And Deion, from the beginning, I will say this, even though Eric knows I'm bitter because he said he had no interest in coming out west because the groups and stuff that, they hire outside firms to, do coach searches. Deion basically said he had no interest in coming out west because we're thinking, well, why not offer Deion the Arizona State job? Because it'll definitely be interesting. But he talked about from the beginning, and I even said this, John, when he first got hired, because we were doing a show, and I said the only thing I did not like is that the other players in there, of course, had only won one game the year before, is that he was talking to them. He's like, yeah, you might want to get out of here in front of the camera. Like, talk to them not on the camera. Everything else Deion has done has been for the growth of players. You can't say that. To me, it's not a stick. Yeah, he said they got an old-fashioned butt whooping. Anybody, I mean, look, national media, there's a ton of people, obviously. Everybody was on Oregon. Now, did I sit there and say, okay, Oregon's gonna boat them? Yeah, I was like 21-point dogs. It makes sense. Look, there's only one touchdown I think that would have been different if Travis Hunter was on the field. And I think it would have been knocked down because the guy that was playing his position totally went with the other receiver, which was covered by the corner, and that inside nickel screwed it up. Travis Hunter, but I'm saying it's only one touchdown, John. So I'm not calling right off. Deion's picked up people. I'm not going to say he's a fraud. I'm going to say he got people interested in obviously HBCU football. I mean, he turned around Jackson State. They got to a championship game. Yeah, they're talking about you want to play with confidence. I mean, that's how Deion played his whole career. It's not about backtracking. He said they got an old-fashioned butt whipping, and everybody knew Oregon was deeper. Yeah, you brought these guys in doesn't mean you brought depth in. Everybody knew the team understood that. And I'm not saying it's you because there's a lot more in the media that have been a lot worse. It's like, oh, we just want Deion to fail. The line is everybody fell in love with the story, Eric. It's a great story. I mean, from a team that only won one game last year to win 3 games before you hit conference play, like, of course you're excited. Like, you're over the moon. And it's tough to sit there and people say, oh, yeah, they want to strike him down now. Deion did this, Deion did that. Look, man, from what the few people I've talked to in Colorado that are covering it, I mean, they do love him there. Yes, do they think, some stuff's for the cameras, but the way they run practice, the way he talks to his players is there for his players and everything. Plus, I will say this, John, it's off the Oregon game because Oregon was going to smoke him anyway. The way they handled it, and I mentioned last week the kid from Colorado State, the safety that was getting death threats, I said I felt the kid should be suspended because when you watch the play, even in real time, and talking to some coaches like that, that's kind of a cheap shot. Deion took the high road. I forgave him. And then Travis Hunter put out that video talking about how he forgives him. There's no ill feelings, like that Deion handled right because he goes, anybody in Buffalo Nation if you put out a death threat to his family.
Well, to any player ever.
Terrible.
You never
It's
should do
terrible.
that to any
Right.
athlete.
But no,
or
and I'm
coach
just
or
saying,
whatever
like,
ever.
Completely agree.
Deion could have ignored it, and a lot of people will just because they don't want to do it. But like from a football playing standpoint, he's got a lot of interest in Colorado. He's going to walk into, even in this day and age of NIL screwing a lot up, he's going to walk into a lot of living rooms, and they're going to build depth, and that's what he's trying to show. But yeah, with Oregon and SC, I mean, and you, okay, don't forget about the best defense in.
I just don't like
in the
in the middle. I just don't like that in the middle of the week and on game day you're doing interviews like on the game day set and things like that, and trying to sell your shades and things like that.
Hold on. Selling the shades. Okay,
Like,
we need to change that narrative, because here's the thing: if we haven't figured out by now that this is who Coach Prime Deion Sanders is, then you'll never figure it out.
No, I understand, but I don't like
that.
No.
I let both of you talk. Let me go. What I'm saying to you is Coach Prime ain't never got to sell anything. All he's got to do is wear it, and people automatically jump to it. Okay? That's what he does. From his time at Florida State till his time in the NFL to an HBCU coach and to now coaching at Colorado. This is who Prime is. Okay? So we need to change that narrative of him selling stuff or going out there and promoting something.
Well, he was handing out his shades and stuff.
Okay, but John, let me ask you a question. How is that any different than you coming on your show on Tuesday nights or anybody else's show?
Because I like
sideline with a sideline sports shirt on or a sideline sports hat
it's
on.
Completely different.
And then how is it completely different?
Because you're I'm not coaching a football team to win a game.
But you go somewhere and you have, let's say, 4 or 5 or 10 shirts, and you all of a sudden just give them to people.
No, the focus as a head coach, I like the focus of a head coach to be focus on beating the team that week, not interviews and handing out shades and having Lil Wayne come to do concerts at your game and stuff like that. I don't like that stuff.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, John, but isn't part of his job as a head coach of a college football team, isn't part of his job to promote that college, to brand that college? Is that not part of his job? I understand 100%. On Saturdays when it is game time, then that's where your head needs to be.
But Eric,
but what you do during the week to promote the game, what you do during the week to bring people who may have never seen or had the opportunity to experience Colorado or experience Coach Prime, is that not part of what his responsibility as a member of that college, that university? That's not part of his job.
Yes, it is.
Your job is
always recruiting. Yes, John, because that's why you're 100%. You're off your rocker. Because Eric, what are you talking about, Eric? You're talking about recruiting. You're always recruiting. So yes, and they don't do it every week. But John, you're saying, he came on the game day set. There's been a ton of coaches throughout the years on their game days that have come to the game day set I've watched.
Okay, I understand. Real quick,
go ahead. Tom DeRubius, you need to learn about college football history, because Nebraska, Colorado, through the history of college football, it was a huge rivalry renewed. And everybody in Nebraska, if you know them, I know you're stoked Detroit's winning, and you should finally be happy because you have a real coach, and I've complimented them. But don't come at me, like Eric says, with, Nebraska and Colorado's right because they both equally sucked last year. It's the history of college football.
Like 50 years ago, Mike?
No, not 50 years ago. Good try, though. But either way, you're as clueless as Dom, but that's okay. And, I love the one comment about, we'll suffer the similar fate to most of all the rest of the ranked Pac-12 teams. Utah's got probably the best defense in the country. And quarterback-wise, I mean, you won't listen to me, Dom, but it's so crazy when all these analysts are saying, wow, man, top to bottom, not last year, not next year, not to John's point, 50 years ago, this year, top to bottom, the best quarterback conference in the country is the Pac-12. Go look at the numbers. Go look at play. Try and shoot it down. I'm not saying there aren't talented quarterbacks in other conferences. Top to bottom, the Pac-12 is the deepest, Dom, but you can come find me. But
we'll let
hey,
you
man,
have this, Mike, because this is the last year of the Pac-12, so we'll let you have this.
It's fact. Last year or not, it's fact. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Michael Penix Jr. Oh, well, thanks, Tom. See, and Detroit's good this year too, because Eric and I were over on them last year, and we gave them positive vibes. So you have a Cowboys and Eagles fan can agree on something. Nonetheless, John, you can say what you want. This year, best quarterback conference, top to bottom.
All right. We John, I'm gonna let you get one more word in, and then we got to.
No, I
You're good.
I said what I said about
Congrats to your Eagles, Eric. See, I can be gracious. Congrats to your Eagles.
I need Cincinnati to pull away a victory tonight. They're up with 69. About 7 minutes left. If Cincinnati closes it out, you are looking at the back-to-back Sports Arena weekly Pick'ems winner. That would be this guy right here.
Let me ask you a question, Eric.
Okay.
Yes, John. Yes, John.
First of all, how the hell did anybody pick Tampa Bay tonight on our panel? I don't know how that happens, because
Ray and Mike did.
You know
and
what?
how
I'll
the
say this.
hell? Because I want everybody in the comment section to know 2 people on the panel picked the Broncos to beat the Dolphins. 2 people. Not me. Not Eric.
I didn't.
That guy over there picked the Broncos.
Fine.
You automatically should get L's for the rest of the year for picking a team that gave up.
You know what? You automatically should get L's for just being clueless half the time and just wearing a Tua for president shirt.
We're 3-0. Where are you?
You
just lost to the Cardinals.
Mike,
That's
you
fine.
can't.
It's one game, Eric. It's one game. Overreaction.
What Miami
one game.
is doing right now.
Enjoy
John, this is what I wanted to tell you. This is the awesome part. So, Tua through 3 games last year, 3-0. 72 for 101, 8 touchdowns, 2 picks. Tua after yesterday, 3-0, 72 for 101, 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. How freaking Twilight Zone is that's crazy. That was
3 quarters yesterday.
I know, but I'm saying through 3 games, exact same numbers. So
and
anyway,
he only played 3 quarters.
I want to say congratulations to your Eagles, Eric. I'm just buttering you up tonight. Congratulations.
I appreciate all the accolades.
Yeah, man.
Listen, I do, but I'm gonna tell you, like Ray, since he's not here tonight, this is what I want you to do, Mike. Keep that same energy. That's all I want you to do, Mike. Keep that same energy.
The Cowboys are
right now. The Bengals are up by 10, so I got a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all for hanging out with us now in the Sports Arena. Next Monday night, I did get word that the Queen of Hoops should be back in the building with us. The sports reporter without pay probably be with us. And I don't know where the big guard's got a lot going on, but I want to take a moment and say congratulations to him, because that brother is truly working it, and he is just putting pen to paper. He's doing a lot of producing, so for him and everything that he has put his heart and soul into, to my brother Tyrus Ray, man, congratulations, man. Truly blessed. I'm so happy for you. From all of us, man, we will talk to y'all next week. For my man, John Shear, Sideline Sports, NFL alum media, take care of this man and pay attention to him, because he ain't always right. But when he is, he on point, and he leaves you very little to argue or try to debate him. And my man, Pitchfork Lunch, he does the Pac-12 review. He's a Sun Devil, Jerry. ASU, Forks Up, my brother, 16 years, man. And please give my love to Mama Carrot Tenuto. I know, because this Sunday, we'll see what happens. I couldn't do it last Sunday. I couldn't, not against Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick got like it.
I thought the Jets at home, I thought they finally were going to snap it. Hey, but at least the fan lost his teeth on it. He got famous for losing his teeth.
This is true.
I don't know what we did to piss off the football gods or whatever, but Broncos and Bears play this Sunday. Ugh. I don't even understand how it's possible.
I think we should be allowed to not pick that game.
And the Chiefs and Jets play Sunday Night Football. I hope they flex that out, because that is just
it's too early.
Too early. It's too early.
Gosh.
Oof. I mean, is it possible? Yes, but here's the thing.
It would have been done last week, but it's too early in the season. The first 6 games are set in stone.
Here's the thing I just saw that I was like, so I guess they're staying. The next 2 Sundays, Jacksonville is in London.
Yep.
The next 2 Sundays. So they just stay over there?
That'd be cool. You're in London for 2 weeks hanging out.
I mean, yeah.
Cool.
After that performance against the Texans, which Eric forgot to remind me,
they need it.
They
they
don't need to
definitely
hang
need to go.
out, John. They need to freaking get back to practice.
They need to go back to their second home in Jacksonville. I mean, to London, where they're like world beaters. They got a better record in London than they do at TIAA Bank.
Yeah, they're
or
like
whatever the hell the name of that
there or
field is.
something.
I don't know. Anyhow, much love to everybody. We will see y'all next Monday night. For all of us at the Sports Arena, we out.